Good evening. Good evening.
Welcome to the
Members of the FinCom.
welcome to budget season. Everyone's most wonderful time of the year.
Yes. What gifts do we give? What are we giving out this year? Money?
I think we have the water treatment facilities and Board of Health first, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone who may or may not know you?
Sure. I'm John Cruz, and I'm Chairman of the Board of Health. And Rob Kassler, our health agent. Hi.
Excellent.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome.
Gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to do 1950 first with the water treatment. Is that seem
Yep.
right?
Sure.
Let's see if I can find it in my packet.
Yeah. Why don't they go in order?
That would just make sense.
I just want to make sure we know our numbers.
Where is it?
I don't see it, but
It's 1950.
yeah.
We should give our money back.
You give him money back?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, people are gonna love you.
No one ever does that.
Here it is.
Here's
There it
the Board of
is.
Health.
All right, so we have 1950 water treatment. Usually the way we do it is we just talk about changes or
Okay.
things that you need.
Okay.
It looks like you don't have many changes, so.
How about none?
Not for that, not for that account.
Okay, so it's just flat.
Yes.
Okay, anything that you need to tell us about that we should be aware of?
Nope.
Okay.
Things are working fine. We've got a huge investment at the schools, so that's why we make it. No, we've actually. I don't know if you guys are aware. I know. I think I tell you the story every year. You know, we got a big septic system at the Howard School, and another one that just maintains all the town buildings. On-site septic since we don't have city sewer, town sewer. So that's where we're at. Rob, anything to share?
That budget covers all the routine maintenance.
How's it running?
Okay.
Running great.
It's running great.
No-
Since the
no
inception.
No pump failures?
Not yet. I mean, it was since 2009. So it's been running fine, but it's, getting up there.
Yeah, how long do those tend to last?
How old is that system?
Not as long as they have. They've been very lucky.
Well, it's designed for a lot larger than the actual capacity.
Yeah.
It's designed for just under 10,000, and I think we're at half of that.
We're about 5,600 gallons a day.
Yeah,
Good.
We have monthly monitored from a person in town.
we get them pumped out every year.
Yeah.
Help.
You don't pump, do you? Do you have pumps?
No, well, we pump to the
Over there,
to
yeah.
the field, but we get the tanks pumped out of the solids
Yes.
every year.
Yeah.
Beginning of the
That's
fiscal year.
Okay. Do we want to talk about the Board of Health budget? 5110.
Well, as you can see, the only increase is the 2% for the health agent. There's a decrease in the clerical staff because we have a new secretary, where our old secretary retired in July. She was here for quite many years, so that's the reason why where our budget is down about $16,000 is because we have a new hire. And she's at a different rate than the
Yeah.
retired secretary was.
Right.
So all the other line items stayed the same. There was a decrease in longevity, just for the fact that our new secretary can't get longevity until she's here for a certain number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, every line item is the same.
The dues and meetings?
Yeah.
Do we have just some new meetings you're going to go to or something?
The cost for the meetings have increased.
Okay.
I see nursing services, we've only spent a third of that 20. Yeah.
Far, yes.
You think you'll spend it all?
Yes. Or darn close to it. Our nurse is going back to the Council on Aging starting next month.
Has she been not there? Or?
No, she's been doing Maven, the online reporting for communicable
Yeah.
diseases. So she's going back to office hours at the council starting next month, on
Gotcha.
Wednesday.
Gotcha.
And the only other one thing that I want to let the committee know is that I think most of you are aware is that we're consolidating our inspectional services,
Yes.
building, health, and conservation. And so all of those secretaries eventually will be housed under the planning department. And so when we put that in the budget, that'll be at the end when we sweep clean the budget, But right now, so you have a year-on-year comparison, it's in this budget, just so you see it.
Oh, I
The
see.
conservation already took it out of theirs, you'll see that later, but just that way everybody knows.
Okay, great. Anything else?
I have nothing. John?
See you next year.
You guys are too
That
easy.
was painless.
Thank you
First
very
round.
much.
Easy.
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a
Thank you
good
very
night.
Have a good rest
Take
of your
care.
evening.
You too.
Thanks for all your
too.
work.
You too. Thank you, Scott.
No problem.
That's what Rob says.
Appreciate it.
What
We
was
had
Rob's last
some
name?
conflict, so.
You had to ask me.
Casper.
Jasper. Thanks.
So Scott's here as our treasurer. We're gonna start with 1450.
Yep, that's the treasurer collector budget. The top line appointed official, that's my salary, that's the 2% increase. 5112, the fiscal clerk, that's our newest hire, Allison. That increase would include a reclassification that I recently submitted to the selectmen to move her up from principal secretary to head secretary. And it also includes a step 4 to step 5 raise. If the selectmen decline the reclassification, it would probably be about a 7.5% increase instead. We could adjust that. 51, 18, and 19 are the assistant treasurer collector, Maureen, and Jean as the delinquent tax collector. That's the 2% SPIA raise. 5303 is data processing. That is our payroll company, the service that we use. I'm requesting a $1,000 increase in that because, as you can see in FY22, I spent more than the 17.5 that I have this year, and that's mostly just due to cost increases with printing and everything going up a little bit at a time. And the only other raise I have in there is for postage in 5345. That $750 is about the cost of stamps going up that just went up this past month.
Forever stamps.
Yeah, well, basically.
They forever go up.
That's right.
Yeah. They went up 3 cents, and that should cover the raise on that.
Yeah, yeah. Are we looking at generally 2% across the board?
So on all the unions, we've asked them to budget 2%. All union contracts are expiring at the end of this year.
Ooh.
So we're in negotiations with all of them, so that may change over time.
Yeah.
But for budgetary purposes, right now, we're using 2%.
Okay.
Scott, quick question. On the payroll, the printing, is that checks?
We do have some people that still get paper checks. We encourage direct deposit, but the printing line is more printing the bills. We still have to pay to have all the bills printed. So the same person actually does that, but those two lines kind of work together.
Okay. Anything else we need to chat about?
No.
Any other questions? No? Okay. I think we talk about the debt next.
That's
7,100.
the first line, 5901, is the payments on the middle senior high school. The way that the bonds are structured, we're borrowing until 2040, and each year kind of has its own bond payment due, and they're not necessarily all the same. So this year went up from 1 million to 1.1 million. So that's what that $100,000 increase is. 5911 was one of our projects got finished paying off last year, so that's down to 49,000. The ambulance WPAT wastewater study had a slight increase, and that's just due to the way that the amortization schedules worked out with the interest rates. The Title V line, one of our Title V Betterment Program loans were finally paid off this year, so that's that decrease. And then the bands are bond anticipation notes. That's the short-term borrowing. Every November, I borrow for the projects that we haven't long-term bonded. We had the ambulance 2 years ago and the transfer station this year. So that 50,000 is pretty much just for the transfer station increase there. There's time limits on how long we have to pay each project off, but this will keep us on schedule.
So you mentioned, Scott, on the school 5901, does that float based on the interest rate?
Nope,
or
those
it's
are
just
it's all
totally
set
different?
in stone. There's a schedule out to 2040 of what
So
the
they
interest rate
somehow
is.
project what.
Yeah, yep, they guess what the interest rates are when they give you the loan, and, you know, it's a
It's
little different every
interesting.
year.
This year
But
went up. Next year.
This is just the
could-
principal payment on it. Like,
Yeah.
you pay, the interest is kind of set beforehand, so you just pay it down.
Yes.
But the way that they set the notes up, some years, like next year is gonna go up another 100,000, and then it's gonna come back down, and it's.
Yeah.
It's a little above my financial sector knowledge, but.
All right.
You have temporary balloon notes or something? I don't know how that works.
There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can borrow.
Yeah.
The bands are the most common now, because the way that the state doles out money is different. We get it every month instead of every quarter, which is the way it used to be. So towns used to have to borrow like really short term.
Very short.
Just for like a month or two
Yeah.
until they got the state money in. But it's really not a problem anymore.
Okay. The 7510?
7510 is the interest on all that debt. All the decreases there are just the result of the principal being lower, so there's just less interest due.
It's good to see.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, quite a bit. Okay. Any questions there? And then 7520?
That is the interest on the bands, so that's where the variable yearly interest rates are coming into play. Last year, when I borrowed, the interest rate was 0.4%, and this year it was 4%, so it went up 10 times. The $25,000 increase here is going from, I only had to spend about $10,000 on interest, and now it's up to 60 or 70.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just need hopefully it comes back down again, and we'll be able to lower that interest in the future.
Sure.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. You're off the hook.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Chief Flaherty, you're up.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
all ready.
Welcome. Nice to see you again. The Police Department budget, 2100.
All right, you want me to just go over like the lines that are a little above? This budget obviously was on a 2% salary increase that we're presently negotiating with the unions now for a 3-year contract. So you can see that permanent salaries went up by a little bit over. That just represents, I think there was 3 individuals besides the 2% that are getting step increases. So that's why that's up a tad more than 2.
Okay.
You'll see other salaries. Other salaries is matrons, crossing guards, and our dispatchers. Some of you remember when we started this dispatcher program about 6 years ago, we were trying to fully fund that within like 4 years. We still haven't funded it to the point where we need for full-time dispatching. So what I'm trying to do is just get up a little bit each year. So I upped that line 10,000. That still won't get us to that point yet, but getting closer. But what I tried to do to offset a little bit of it, I took some money out of the court overtime account. I didn't up that to 3% plus about just less than 5,000. So it's about a $5,000 reverse. So basically, I took $5,000 and tried to toss it up into that line because one good thing about COVID is it really screwed up the court systems. So my court budget has drastically gone down. Well, prior to the last 2 years, I always was over on that line, and last year's I'm significantly under.
Is that moving the other
Zoom.
direction again, though?
No, well, it will, I think, eventually, but I think it's going to take some time.
So people aren't going to court?
Well,
Or
the courts are
Zoom?
dismissing and disposing cases out rapidly. And during COVID and prior to COVID and now after COVID, there's not, I'm not saying police during COVID didn't really do much. Because of COVID, everybody was scared to be around anybody, so there wasn't as much interaction. Even the individuals that are creating these crimes and part of the court systems weren't out and about either. So, and that's a trickle-down effect, because during COVID, the cases usually take a year or so to go, so we're still within that window of the pandemic and the lack of criminal prosecution. And then, like I said, the courts are really, against my better judgment, giving good deals, so where we don't have to go to court to testify.
You're just trying to make people go away.
Well, pretty
Sorry.
much. It's so the court has been drastically down. So, and it's going to take time. As times change a little bit, and we get out of this COVID issue, this is going to pick up again. But I imagine for the last year, this year, and probably the next year, I would say we'll be able to maybe take a little more money out of this, and then maybe in 4 or 5 years, we'll have to relook at it again to put the money back in. So I'm just allocating it to something else that we need to do now.
Yeah.
By having more dispatchers, it free-ups officers to be on the road. So we're basically getting more officers on the road at a discounted rate, because I'm not sitting an officer at the desk.
Yeah.
So, instead of adding police, we're kind of adding police without adding police.
Right.
So it's a really great program. And eventually, I know we had discussed that as soon as I get full-time, we'd start to maybe think about dispatching for fire. So it's all in the works.
Long-term plan.
And it's been a little longer than we thought, but we're getting there. So that's what the decrease in the court is. The electricity, a memo came out of Selectman's office to increase everybody's by 5%, because they feel that with the increases that everybody's seeing in their homes, we're also going to see that same increase.
Yeah.
Mine's 40.
What's that?
Mine's 40%.
Oh, mine jumped a ton.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's five.
I haven't seen it yet in the Palo Verde, the electricity for the town. My station has stayed about the same. I haven't seen that, whether it's just the credits we're seeing, and because the Palo Verde is kind of a tricky thing to figure out.
It is.
But I haven't seen the net cost for us go up yet.
Well,
So-
our electrical contract expired at the end of December.
Oh, is that what it is?
So we were then going to have to go, so we go out to bid, and every 5 years, I roll over into another contract for all municipal buildings. And when we were bidding it out, it was all going up about 100%.
Yeah.
And so, but National Grid was gonna be up, we were at 9 cents a kilowatt. That's what you're paying right now, is 9 cents a kilowatt. National Grid's rate went to 33 cents a kilowatt. And the bid price in the open market was around 18 to 19 cents a kilowatt. So after a little bit of arm twisting, we were able to get the town to jump on the municipal aggregation program that we did for all of our residents, which is 11.5 cents. So, so that's why we budget 5%, which should be okay.
Great.
Vehicle repairs, I went up on that. Our fleet's getting a little older. Things are getting a lot more expensive. I can never seem to hit that number. So I brought that up a little bit. And the next one really is the, sorry, my glasses.
Building. Municipal
The-
building.
Uniform and equipment.
Yeah.
The uniform and did someone say something?
We have municipal.
Gasoline, I went to 3,000 above. I know I'm not going to come close to hitting the number this year. I didn't hit it last year. I was about 12,000 over. I have made some changes over the summer when the gas was really expensive, how we did things, and kept us close to the number. Otherwise, I'd probably be $5,000 or $6,000 more gas used at this point. We did some changes. But there's no way I'm going to hit the number unless gas prices go down. So I added the 3,000 to that. And that still, if we continue with the gas prices, I'm not going to hit that number either. So
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Usually I was always under a few thousand. Now, last year I was over by 10 or 12. And then we were lucky because of in-service last year. They didn't have any in-person in-service, so we did everything online. So that line, overtime money, we were able to use and allocate towards the gas. But this year, in-service is in person. So I'm hoping, I'm playing a little Russian roulette that the court line will subsidize some of these under, because like I said, I would anticipate I'm over on gas next year too.
You had some extra money in the building repairs. Is there something specific or just the cost of things
Yeah,
going
just the
up?
cost of things. I mean, the building repairs, I don't think I've hit that number since I've been chief. I try to do a small project every year, meaning sometimes it's just paint, sometimes a new garage door. We are gonna have to do some work in the heating room. We have circulating pumps. We have 4 circulating pumps in there, 2 for each, 2 for us, 2 for fire, where we only use 1 apiece, but every month we switch over to keep the circulating pumps going. One of the police pumps is gone, is dead again. I replaced it already once. I'm having a real hard time getting somebody to actually do this job. So the circulating pumps I still have 1 working on our side, but that circulating pump's probably $3,000 just for the pump. So in the spring, I'm knocking on wood that we can get to the spring where we don't have any issues with doing the repair now.
Yeah.
But yes, the one thing I think I'm pretty proud of is if you walk through the station today, and you walk through it in 2008 in April when we opened up, it almost looks identical repair-wise and updating and make sure it stays, the repairs are being done. I'm not the type of person where everything fall down before we put it back up.
Yeah.
I think that's important when you pay $5 million for that facility in 2008, that you want to make sure, at least when I walk out the door, that it looks the same way when I walked in.
Yeah.
So we do a little bit every year just to keep it up.
Sure.
Uniform and equipment, that's up by $6,000. What it basically, the $6,000 is I anticipate 2 new hires next year for retirements. So it cost me about $3,000 in equipment to get them started in the academy. So that $6,000 is 2 individuals, just to go into the academy. And the same for that training expense. The training expense went up by $6,000. It costs $3,000 fee per person to put them into the academy. So again, to replace the 2 people, it's a one-time cost. And so I anticipate at least 2, it could be more than 2, but I budgeted for 2.
If they don't finish, Chief, is there a reimbursement or you lose it?
No, if they don't finish the academy, we kind of eat it.
Yeah. I suppose you have to, yeah.
But we do a really good job of the prior background and the fitness to do it prior to.
Yeah.
We run them through everything that they need to basically pass the academy before they go into the academy. So unless something, broken leg or somewhere we have to get circulated back, knock on wood, for the most part,
Right.
we don't have that issue.
Chief, on the 2 new people and the 2 potential retirement people, the longevity and the salary change, that's not here, or is that next year's
The
budget?
salary change is not here in this, because I don't know exactly when that's going to be.
Mhm.
It could be, you gotta understand, if I put somebody in the academy today, I won't have them on the street by themselves for about 8-9 months.
So it's almost
So
like next
it-
year's budget.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna try to do, what I'm gonna discuss it with the board, is that we anticipate a little bit of this and try to start them a little earlier. So yes, I will save some money by having new people, but I'll have that extra person on for a short period of time that'll kind of eat up that money, so I don't have to come to the board for more money. So, and when they happen to go, he'll have a shorter window where he'll be by himself to be able to cover it, and I won't have to cover it with overtime.
Yeah.
So we're trying to anticipate it all, so that money, I mean, it's not gonna be a huge amount of money.
Mhm.
It all depends on who actually leaves.
Right.
But there will be a gap where we'll be able to use that.
And Chief, there's always the risk that they may not retire.
There's
So
a risk
you
that
have
they
to
may not
bud-
retire.
you have to budget for it until they're actually gone.
Yeah.
Is it just rumor kind of? That's
No, it's not really rumor. I mean, it's pretty set in stone. I could lose up to 4 if they really wanted to go. So, I mean, a couple of them are not really, they're on the fence, but they could go tomorrow.
Yeah.
But 2 are pretty solid.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know exactly the date. I mean, they haven't given me a date.
Yeah.
And then if they don't, no one goes, the $12,000 will be back, and I won't use that money for anything unless obviously my pumps go and we use the money for the pump. But so that's basically the budget. The budget goes only up by 2.76, I think it says.
Mm.
Sorry, my eyes, I should get a bigger
It's okay.
font on these things. I used to be able to read them like nothing.
Well, you do a very good job
I
with
think
this
the majority of
budget.
us have glasses here.
You do a good job with this budget, and you
Yeah.
can tell you're very thoughtful about it, so thank you for that.
But we try, like I said, we don't want to waste anything.
Right.
If we do have a little extra money, we don't just go out. I hear all the stories from my buddies' old companies. They get calls from all over the municipalities that, June 1st, send me, 6,000 things of this, and,
Yeah.
I hear that all the time. And if I do have some money, we do little repairs that we need to do. At least I'm not coming to the board or you for $100,000 to, re-up something that we haven't taken care of.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so there is savings there. So I don't know if anybody has any more questions on this budget.
And I think we do the canine control.
The canine control, I've kept that the same for 6 years now. I've never gone up on it. Our fees have gone up a little bit. We wrote the new bid specs. I think we're into year 2 this year, coming up. It's with JM Pet. They do a fantastic job. They are guaranteed 100 kennel stays. So basically, to get into so I guarantee them 100. I think they get $31 a night, so it's $3,100 that we have to pay regardless. And they also get a $500 fee to bring one of their people to keep up on the dog issues for animal control. They're basically our animal control. We have somebody assigned to it, but they're not an expert at it.
Right.
So when they go out, our officer is the one who makes the decisions, but basically they're getting expert input. So it's a really good partnership because we get one dog. By law, we have to keep the dog 10 days. So every dog that we keep that doesn't get an owner to come back is 10 days. So from 100 goes to 90. So
it's 10
quickly.
times.
So animal, unless they get picked up early by the owner. And then at that point, they can be euthanized and or adopted out. And what we do is that JM Pet is big on not euthanizing the dog unless it's unfit or sick. So the euthanization is the cost to the town. And what we do is we say to JM Pet, we're going to give you the $200 that's a fee for the euthanization. If you feel that the dog should be euthanized, you do that. If you do not and put adoption, the money goes into the adoption thing to take care of the dog until that point. Our guys do a great job of when they find a dog,
They do.
they keep it, and if we have a small crate, we keep it. They put it on social media. Most times, the homeowner comes out. We don't just call Jam Pet them come to get them because then the homeowner would have to pay the call-out fees and the thing. So we keep them for a little bit, try to do it, and that saves quite a bit because they're not at the
Right.
at the place. And so I'm not going to say half, but I bet you at least half come because the dog just happened to get out.
Yeah, I see them on Facebook.
And there's fees that are paid to Jam Pet, so if your dog gets out and you don't catch it, you have to pay the fee, the call-out fee, that the town pays. So I pay a call-out fee every time they come to get the dog. So if the call-out fee is around $75, so if you go to pick up your dog and it's already at Jam Pet for a day or two, you have to pay the call-out fee plus the night
board,
fee
the
for the
board.
dog, for the kenneling. So that money will still count towards our numbers, but we're not actually paying.
Right, right.
So even though the budget's $200, I would imagine we probably get back half of that through town clerk when they have to come in and pay these fees.
Interesting.
So it's the best bang for the buck. Last year I was close to getting over because unfortunately some people see that the way we take care of the animals here at West Bridgewater, and they tie their dogs to a tree and that they can't keep or
Oh.
something, and they know we're gonna take them, they know they're not gonna be euthanized, they're gonna be put up. So sometimes being good is a hindrance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's, like I said, best bang for a buck. I don't see touching this budget at all.
No.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. No
Any
questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
All right, have a nice night.
Nice to see
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Chief.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
Okay, who's next? Step on up.
Mr. Hay.
Hi. Do you want to introduce yourself, Tim? I know you're
Okay.
fairly new, so you might not, everybody might not know you yet.
Tim Hay, Conservation Agent.
Well, welcome. We're here to talk about your budget, so I think we're going to start with 1710. Is that right?
Yep. And pretty much other than salaries that are contractual to increase, everything should stay the same. There actually should be a savings this year because we didn't have an agent and we didn't have a clerical staff for a good part of the year. So that's why you'll see a surplus sitting there this year.
Yeah.
Going forward, we're gonna share, right? As David mentioned.
Right, with the inspectional services combination, there'll be a sharing of clerical staff. And there'll be a full-time person also that's now in the conservation room that's a grant writer and clerical staff.
Okay. So is that the decrease there? You've taken
The what?
the decrease, the 54,000?
Right, that actually is,
That's the movement?
right.
Okay. Okay. Any questions on this budget?
No,
Okay.
it's easy.
Is there another one, Tim, though?
And I'm also here representing the open space.
Oh, the
Open
open
space.
space, yeah. Yeah, so 1715, please.
Oh, yeah,
And that, they're asking for an increase of $2,000, and that's to help offset grant money that they're not eligible for the River Walk.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
We have the grant writer, that's writing, how would we find out how many grants we're getting, for instance? I expect that to pick up dramatically with a grant writer.
She's already going after 3 additional ones.
Is she?
She's only been here a short time.
Yeah.
I believe part of what she'll be doing is tracking what she goes for and what she gets.
Right.
Okay. Any questions for Tim?
No?
I'm happy.
One more?
That's it, just those 2.
That's it.
All right.
I think David,
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks,
coming.
Tim.
Thank
you,
you.
Tim.
Nice to meet you.
You do the rest, right?
Yep, so I handle all the small budgets, again, they're still in
Oh.
order.
Okay.
I'm just gonna ramble through them fairly quick, because they're the same budgets year over year, nothing has changed, they're all level
Okay.
funded, but I'll certainly answer any questions you have. So budget 1720 Agricultural Commission, we're gonna level fund that budget at $600. 5260, which is for Women's Place Crisis Center, we will level fund that one at $2,750. Budget 5270, which is Bark, we will level fund that at $250. 5280 budget, Old Colony Hospice Care, we will level fund that at $2,000.
You can't move as fast as your truck.
Are they applying for all these, or, no?
So we've always set this up, this all predates me. Some years they turn in slips and we pay them,
Yeah,
and then the years they don't, I haven't.
okay.
Some of these services, I really like, for example, Women's Place Crisis Center, I want to pay them.
Yeah,
But I do feel a little awkward, like begging someone to send me a bill.
yeah,
But, it's a really good service, and I can
Mhm.
tell you, because we get the data, is that there's more than a handful of West Bridgewater women who use that center every
Oh,
year.
sure.
yeah.
So I want to pay them.
Yeah.
But I do think that trying to be a good steward of your tax dollars, I shouldn't go begging people to bill us.
Right,
So if they don't bill us, I don't pay it.
okay.
Where is that, in Brockton?
There is a one in Brockton, yes, that's correct. Although they did just open up, it's under New Hope,
Mhm.
and there is now a building on Manley Street in West Bridgewater.
Okay.
And then last one is Plymouth County Extension Services, the budget 6,600, that is level funded at $200.
Okay, any questions on any of these budgets? Good. Okay, I think we jumped right into the budgets, and we had some meeting minutes
Yep.
to approve, so,
Hours worth of reading to go through.
does anybody want to make a motion with respect to the meeting minutes from March 21st, April 7th, April 21st, or August 4th?
Motion to approve March 21st.
Second.
Do you want to do them one by one? Just do them all at once.
Motion to approve minutes of April 7th.
Okay,
Second.
thank you.
Motion to move April 21st.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion to approve August 4th, 2022. Meeting minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor of approving these minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. So we did all the meeting minutes. Anything else? Next meeting is February 2nd,
Next week.
Next Thursday.
next Thursday.
And I won't be here, Jen, so.
You won't be here February 2nd?
No, I won't.
That was March 2nd. Okay,
No, sorry, it's next week.
okay.
I don't feel, I'll be in Puerto Rico.
Oh, I feel really bad for
I
you.
know. Maybe we could hold the
So-
meeting from there? No,
Road trip.
take a little road trip?
This year, level funding or level service?
It was level services.
Level service.
I think we're in. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in, oh, I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, I think we're out.